This is Concept E classes, and today we'll deal with Chapter 6 of Class 8 Social Science Civics, Understanding Our Criminal Justice System. So as we have mentioned in Unit 3, the Judiciary, we have two chapters, Chapter 5 Judiciary, which we have already explained in the previous video. And in this video, we'll study Chapter 6, Understanding Our Criminal Justice System. So in this chapter, first we'll study about a fictional case of theft in order to understand the processes of criminal justice system and the role that different persons play within this system. So the first role is of that of a police while investigating a crime. Then we'll also study about the role of the public prosecutor, the role of the judge, and then we'll see what is a fair trial. So let's say an introduction of this criminal justice system. So whenever someone violates a law, we immediately think of informing the police. And you might often have seen in movies or in real life that the police first files reports and then they arrest the person. And because of this role played by the police in arresting the person, we often get confused that it is the police who decide whether a person is guilty or not. But actually it is not the police, but it is the court of law that decides whether the accused person is guilty or not. So when a person is arrested, he or she is taken to the court and then the judges decide whether the accused person is guilty or not. And according to the Constitution, every individual charged of crime has to be given a fair trial. That is, if a person has been arrested or accused of crime, he should be given a fair trial. So in this chapter, we will study more about what this fair trial is, what is this court of law, this file reports or the FIR. We'll study more about this in this chapter. So in short, this criminal justice system is a combination of courts and a legal process that deal with any offense or any crime. So let's understand this criminal justice system through a fictional case of theft and highlight the process as well as the role of different individuals in this system. So let's see the case. At an apartment in Mumbai, Mrs. Shinde found that one of her gold chains was missing. So she told her husband that she suspects their maid, Shanti, as Shanti takes a lot of time while cleaning that room. And Shanti was actually a poor maid who had been working in that house for more than 3 years. So Mrs. Shinde accused Shanti, saying that she stole the chain. And when Mr. and Mrs. Shinde searched the belongings of Shanti, they found an envelope with rupees 10,000 in it. But Shanti kept on saying that it was actually her and her brother's saving in order to buy a bull when they go to the village, and that she was innocent. But they didn't listen and they went to the police station and filed an FIR against the theft. Mr. Shinde then returned with Sub-Inspector Rao, and Rao, that inspector, he actually wrote a statement of both Mr. and Mrs. Shinde about the theft, and he took that envelope as an evidence and arrested Shanti. But Shanti kept claiming that she was innocent. Next day, then Sushil, Shanti's brother, arrived at the police station and pleaded to release Shanti. But the police officer said that they already arrested Shanti, and if they wanted to let Shanti leave, he should bring a bail order from the court. But Sushil and Shanti was already poor and they couldn't afford that much money. So the Rao forcibly keeps Sushil inside the police station for 2 days, and Sushil was abused and beaten by the police officers, and they tried to make him confess that he and his sister stole that jewelry. But Sushil kept on repeating that he was innocent, and after 2 days the police let him go. Then after 1 month the court granted bail to Shanti, but Shanti was not affordable. I mean, she couldn't afford a lawyer, so she continued to be in jail. Then next month 14, the police filed a charge sheet in the magistrate court, and the court gives a copy of the charge sheet including the statement of witness to Shanti. And Shanti tells the court that she has no lawyer to defend against this false case of theft. So the magistrate appoints advocate Kamala Roy, who stands as Shanti's defense lawyer at the government expense. So this was actually because according to Article 22 of the Constitution, every person has the fundamental right to be defended by a lawyer. And according to Article 39A of the Constitution, it places a duty upon the state to provide a lawyer to any citizen who is unable to engage one due to a poverty or other disability. That is, if a person is not able to afford a lawyer, it is a duty of the state to provide a lawyer to that citizen. Then the advocate Kamala Roy, that is the defense lawyer, met Shanti in the court, and Shanti submitted all the case papers and the charge sheets, and they claimed that they didn't steal the money, that money was actually their savings in order to buy a bull. And in 11/12/2006, the court frames a charge of theft of Mrs. Shinde gold against Shanti. But Shanti says that she's not guilty and she needs a trial. So after 1 month, the public prosecutor appears in the case on the behalf of the state, and he presents his witness, which was Mr. and Mrs. Shinde. And then he started asking questions like, when did the gold chain go missing? And Shinde said that only Shanti used to come to a house and she stole the chain, and she sold it in order to get this much money. Then the defense lawyer, which was Advocate Roy, she cross-examined the prosecuted witness, asking, how can you say that? Did you see if Shanti stole the chain? Shanti has been working for 3 years in your house and only now the theft took place. So how can you be sure that it was Shanti? Then on 20th/4/2007, Advocate Roy, the defense lawyer, examined Sushil and his employer as defense witness, and through their testimonies, she was able to show that rupees 10,000 found in Shanti's trunk was the earnings of Sushil and Shanti. Then after 1 month, as the trial was nearing completion, Sushil learned that one of the police officer, Inspector Sharma, found a gang of young men who were stealing jewelry from Shinde's neighborhood, and some of Mrs. Shinde's son's friend was a part of this gang. And then the defense lawyer called Inspector Sharma as a defense witness, and the Sharma stated that those young men, they admitted that they stole the chain. And on 15/7/2007, judge hears the testimony of all the witnesses, and after hearing the testimony of Inspector Sharma, Advocate Roy argues that Shanti was innocent and she should be acquitted, and the judge, based on that evidence, said that Shanti was not guilty. So from the above case, we can see that there are 4 key players in the criminal justice system. One was the police, the public prosecutor, and the defense lawyer, and finally the judge. So let's understand their roles more generally in the following slides. So first, let's see the role of the police in investigating a crime. So one of the important functions of the police is to investigate any complaint about the commission of a crime. So an investigation includes recording the statement of the witness and collecting different kinds of evidence. And on the basis of investigation, the police are required to form an opinion. And if the police think that the evidence points to the guilt of accused, then they can file a charge sheet in the court. Now this is a format of the charge sheet. To the accused, details of the charge against you, the signatures and all. Okay, so if the police thinks that that person is guilty, then they could write a charge sheet and submit to the court. But as mentioned earlier, it is not the police that decide whether a person is guilty or not, but it is the judge to decide. We have already studied in Unit 2. According to the rule of law, everyone is equal under the law, including police as well. Hence, the police investigation should always be conducted in accordance with the law and with full respect for human rights. Supreme Court, they had laid down certain guidelines that the police must follow at the time of arrest, detention and interrogation. So let's see which all are that requirements or procedures that the police should follow. First, the police officials who carry out the arrest or interrogation should wear a clear, accurate and a visible identification and name tags with their designations. Then, at the time of arrest, a memo of arrest should be prepared and should include the time and date of arrest. And that memo of arrest should be attested by at least one witness, which is a family member of the person arrested. That is, that memo of arrest should be signed by one family member of the person arrested and also by the person who is arrested. Now, the person arrested, detained or being interrogated, he or she has a right to inform a relative, a friend or a well-wisher. And when a friend or a relative live outside the district, the time, the place of arrest and venue of custody must be notified by the police to that friend within 8 to 12 hours after arrest. And these specific requirements or guidelines are also known as D.K.Basu's guidelines. Now, the police are not allowed to torture or beat or shoot anyone during the investigation. We saw in the previous case of theft that this S.I. Raho, he abused and tortured Shanti's brother Sushil and tried to make him confess that he did it. So such type of torturing is not allowed, and they cannot inflict any form of punishment on a person even for petty offenses. So along with the Supreme Court, the Article 22 of Constitution and Criminal Law guarantee to every arrested person the following fundamental rights. So let's say the rights of the arrested person. The first right is the right to be informed at the time of arrest or offense for which the person is being arrested. That is, when a person is being arrested, he or she has the right to be informed. Then the right to be presented before the magistrate within 24 hours of arrest. That is, if a person is being arrested within 24 hours, they should be presented before the magistrate. The right not to be ill-treated or tortured during arrest or custody. Confessions made in the police custody cannot be used as evidence against the accused, and a boy under 15 years of age and women cannot be called for questioning to the police station. Now let's see what is an FIR. So this is an FIR. See, it is actually a written document prepared by the police when they receive an information about the commission of a offense. For example, we saw how that S.I. Rao, he wrote an FIR when Shinde came and told that a theft took place. So it is the written document prepared by the police. So let's see some of the features of this FIR. Now it is with the registration of an FIR that the police can begin their investigation into a crime. That is, only after an FIR is registered in a police station that the police can take up that investigation. And the law states that it is compulsory for an police officer in charge of the police station to register an FIR whenever a person gives information about an crime. And this information, it can be given to the police either orally or in writing. Now the FIR, what does it contain? It contains first the date, the time and the place of offense, the details, the basic facts of the offense including a description of the events, and if known, the identity of the accused person and the witness is also mentioned. The FIR also states the name and address of the person who filed the complaint, and there is a prescribed form in which the police registers an FIR and it is signed by the person who filed the complaint as well. And anyone who knows about this offense, including the police officer, can file an FIR. And the person who filed the complaint or the complaint also has the legal right to get a free copy of the FIR from the police. So we already saw the role of police in a criminal justice system. Now let's understand the role of a public prosecutor. Now a criminal offense such as a robbery or theft or arson or kidnapping, rape, these all are regarded as a public wrong. That is, these crimes are not only committed against affected victims but the society as a whole. Now in the last chapter we saw the dowry death of Sudha Goyal. There we saw that that case was presented by the state against the accused Lakshman and his family. And that's why that case was called as state, that is Delhi administration versus Lakshman Kumar and others. Similarly, in the previous case, there also that case can be called as state versus Shanti Hemram. It was not Mrs. Shinde versus Shanti Hemram. So here the state, that is a case, these cases are presented by the state, and it is a public prosecutor who appears in all these cases on behalf of the state. So in a court, it is a public prosecutor who represents the interest of the state. So actually, public prosecutor is a person who has been appointed either by the central or the state government to represent their cases on the behalf of the state. And the role of the public prosecutor begins only once the police has conducted the investigation and filed the charge sheet in the court. He or she has no role to play in investigation. The only job is to conduct the prosecution on behalf of the state, and he or she, being an officer of the court, should act impartially and present the full and material facts, witnesses and evidences before the court to enable the court to decide the case. Now let's see the role of the judge in a criminal justice system. Now judge is just like an umpire in a game. So the umpire, how does he decide whether a person is out or not? He follows the rules and he is impartial to both the teams. Similarly, a judge conducts the trial impartially and in an open court. Everyone could see what is happening inside the court. The judge hears all the witnesses and other evidences presented by the prosecution and the defense. In the last case, we saw how the court framed Shanti for stealing and they provided the evidences. So the judge heard the witnesses and the evidences, and the judge decides whether the accused person is guilty or innocent on the basis of evidence presented and in accordance with the law. And if the accused is convicted, if the accused is found guilty, then the judge pronounces the sentence. He or she may either be sent to jail or sometimes impose a fine or both, depending on what the law prescribes. Now let's see what is a fair trial. Now a trial held in the presence of the accused and held in an open court and observed by a trial judge without being partial is known as a fair trial. Or in simple words, fair trial is an open trial by an impartial judge in which all the parties are treated equally. Article 21 of the Constitution guarantees the right to life. It states that a person's life or liberty can be taken away only by following a reasonable and just as a legal procedure. That is, no person shall be deprived of life or personal liberty except according to the procedure established by a law. And a fair trial ensures that this Article 21 of Constitution is upheld. That is, the right to fair trial is one of the fundamental guarantee of human rights as well as the rule of law. So let's consider or let's understand this fair trial with the previous theft case of Shanti. What would have happened if the court did not give a copy of the charge sheet and the statements of witnesses to Shanti? Or what would have happened if the court held the trial in a secret location where neither Shanti or her brother would be present? What if the court did not give Shanti's lawyer enough time to question the witness? So if all this happened, it would be case of an unfair trial. So let's identify the essential elements of a fair trial in Shanti's case. Firstly, Shanti was given a copy of the charge sheet and all other evidences that the prosecution presented against her. We saw it there, right? She was given the charge sheet. And then a trial was held in the open court in public view. That is, everyone, including her family, could hear the court hearings. And the trial was held in the presence of accused. Shanti was defended by the lawyer who was given an opportunity to cross-examine all the prosecution witness and present witness as well. That is, the court provided a defense lawyer to Shanti as she was not able to afford a lawyer. Then the lawyer was given an opportunity to cross-examine the prosecution witnesses and also present the witnesses as well. And although the police filed a case of theft against the Shanti, the judge assumed her to be innocent. Actually, it was the responsibility of the prosecution to prove that Shanti was guilty, but the prosecution failed to do so. And the judge also assumed her to be innocent. So it is significant that the judge decided the matter only on the basis of the evidence before the court. The judge did not jump to conclusion that Shanti was thief just because she was a poor maidservant. Instead, the judge remained impartial. And since the evidence showed that some young men and not Shanti was the thief, he set Shanti free. So in Shanti's case, justice was finally done to her because she was given a fair trial. So this fair trial includes the fair and proper opportunities allowed by the law to prove innocence. So we saw the different roles of individuals in a criminal justice system. It's like the role of a judge, the role of a public prosecutor, of police, defense lawyer, and if any one of these individuals do not do their work properly, justice would be denied. So the constitution and the law both state that all the persons involved in the criminal justice system should carry out their roles in a proper manner. That is, they all need to work to ensure that every citizen, irrespective of their class, caste, gender, religious and ideological backgrounds, get a fair trial when accused. And the rule of law, which states that everyone is equal under the law, is guaranteed only when every citizen is provided with a fair trial by the Constitution. So that's all of Chapter 6, Understanding the Criminal Justice System. Tune in soon for the next session. Thank you so much. May God bless you all. Take care and bye-bye.